Hey everyone, it's me again, and today I wanted to talk about family. And as you guys know, I'm Guatemalan, raised in the United States, and attitudes on family are one of the biggest things that are a source of so much difference. For us between Americans and Latin Americans. Even the ones that have sort of been assimilated to American culture for generations, right? Like the Latinos from the South, the former Mexican states of Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, and stuff like that. And um, yeah, dude, what can I say? I'm just gonna come out and say it and say that like it's one of the things I despise most about American culture because American culture, I'm sorry to say, I don't think anyone can really deny that. They claim to care a lot about family, but they really don't. They do not whatsoever. Um, we could talk about this in a more systemic sort of way and like talk about how the US doesn't have maternity leave, or I think even paternity leave, at least not to the level of most other developed countries. We could talk about how I have already talked about how you know antiquarian, um, unequal, sort of like 18th, 19th century attitudes um, around, quote, the nature of women influence custody decisions. I've already talked about that. Um, we could talk about how, like, there is no universal health care, or that much of an expanded social safety net. I could talk about all that stuff, but generally just the cultural attitudes. And you all know, you've seen my channel. I'm no one to sort of be blind to my own cultures or my other cultures' faults in this regard, right? Especially when it comes to the way in which we are machista and in which we abandon our children, because I've had personal experience with that. But at least in Latino families, we're not afraid of, number one, living with our parents. That's never been a taboo. And number two, having multiple generations. Bro, in Latino families, there will be two, three generations living in the same house, brothers and sisters. Um, my great great grandma that I talked to you guys about, the one whose mother was a Spaniard and whose dad was an indigenous guy and everything. She lived with my great grandparents and my dad. And I think even sometimes my grandparents, for her basically almost the entirety of her senior years, from like about 50 to 60 to 105, guys. Like that's wild, brothers and sisters. She was born in um 1876 and died, at least according to my dad, like in 1981 or in 1982, brothers. So, like, that's what. And, there is sort of kind of data to back this up. It's called the Hispanic paradox, where we have, generally speaking, worse health outcomes than almost all other groups in the United States, but yet we live longer. And, obviously it's a complex issue. It's not just one thing. But I think that, like, honestly, guys, a big part of that is because we actually care about family. We're not just automatically rushing to put our family members into a freaking home. We love them and we care for them, and that's base, brothers and sisters. That's base. Now, of course, I don't really care about what the family looks like, if they're married or not, or if, one of them is whatever gender. I don't care about that. But that we have a family structure of some kind that's undeniably good. And it's part of what makes us humans. I'm sorry. That's probably the most conservative position I have. But yeah, go family, go Latinos. Let's do it. Let's keep with the family, bros.